April, good to see you. We are discussing 5 financial resolutions for a happy and successful 2024. And we are recording this in late February because only 9% of people make and keep their resolutions. And by now in the year, 43% or more have already quit. So let's talk through the reasons why we need to do these. But first, I want to mention this is such an important topic, so important, in fact, that you were interviewed on Atlanta News First. Tell us about that.
And that was a great segment. It aired early in January when people still had resolutions that they were trying to stick to. And we went over some really good areas, ways to have accountability and strategies that you can use to get back on course when you do deviate. They did a really good job on that segment.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful interview, and people can find it on your website. Also, some great news stories with Abby. So if people want to check that out, again, not too late to make and keep those resolutions. But let's walk through them now. Number one, this one's so important. Meet your match. Why is this resolution number one?
Well, a lot of people are missing out on free money if they're not at least meeting the match on their company plan. We don't see matches as much as we used to, and those that we do see are lower percentage wise than they have been in the past, typically speaking. But almost always, it's a good idea to take whatever free money that you can and make sure you're contributing up to that match. The time value of money is a powerful thing. Compound interest is a powerful thing. And the more that you can take advantage of that with additional company funds being added to your plan, the better off that you're likely to be long term.
As my dad says, don't leave free money on the table. All right,
Yes.
Resolution number two, contribute more to your retirement accounts.
Sometimes people wait until they feel like they can see the light at the end of the tunnel to start quantifying what they really need to be saving to hit their retirement goals. Our recommendation is, even if you have to start small, start as soon as you can. It's unbelievable how fast that you can accumulate assets if you start at a young age and you're just consistent. These are the limits that have some of these increased a bit since 2023 as well. So make sure that you have adjusted adequately if you already had something that was automated in the past, because it may be that you can even increase what you're already contributing for 2024.
Probably a good time to remind people too, April, that even though it's February, you can still contribute to your Roth accounts for 2023, right?
Yes, absolutely. Roth and traditional IRAs, you can still make those contributions at this point in the year. Of course, always consult with a tax professional before you do that, but that ship has not sailed if you hadn't made those contributions in 2023 for you. And if you have a spouse who isn't working, potentially for your spouse as well. So that's another item to look at as you prepare to file your income taxes, what contributions might still be on the table for even last year.
Okay, resolution number three, create a budget. That one is always on my list and generally the first one to fall off.
It's just a tedious process, I think, is typically why that becomes a challenge and something that falls by the wayside. And sometimes starting maybe kind of almost even on the reciprocal, having a target savings amount on a monthly basis, having something that helps guide you towards getting into that type of habit is very helpful. Some software changes in the past, a lot of people used Mint. We have some resources that are available, especially because a lot of people did use Mint. That resource is no longer available. There are some tools that can help you automate this process. Sometimes you can find them through your bank where you can track your average spending. Sometimes you can use a tool like eMoney, which is a tool that we provide for our clients. And that's a resource that we don't charge for. We absorb that cost. But there are ways that you can automate at minimum what it is that you're spending. The difference between looking at what you're spending and budgeting is that once you've already spent it, you're looking at it in arrears. But those are important foundational steps to at least identify your habits and help you begin to work towards a maintainable budget.
Right. So important. All right. Number four, build that emergency fund.
You know, this is an interesting one right now because we find that a lot of people are on both ends of the spectrum. Some people don't have a sufficient emergency fund, and that would be defined as easy access, no tax liability, stuff, things that happen, whether you have an unexpected expense with your car, with your home, whatever that might be, those expenses that fall outside of your normal budget. So you don't have to dip into a company plan, for example, if you do or when you do have some of these costs. On the other side of that, a lot of what we're seeing right now is that there are a lot of people who, because of concerns about the economy in recent years, especially starting around COVID times and inflation concerns and just concerns about the economy in general, a lot of people have actually been stockpiling, and they have quite a bit in emergency reserve, in checking, in savings. Sometimes that becomes lazy money, and it's not working for you in the way that it could. Banks, unfortunately, credit unions as well, don't necessarily approach existing clients and tell you that you could get better rates. So I also would recommend looking at the rates that you're getting on these funds and make sure that, one, you don't have too much or too little in that category. We define that often as 3 to 6 months of expenses as a good guideline, and also that you're getting a fair return, because currently interest rates for short-term cash holdings are pretty favorable.
Right. Good point. And then last resolution number 5, insure yourself. Again, that emergency fund is really important, but insuring yourself means you and your family will be okay in case the worst happens.
And there are 2 primary types of insurance that we really like to help people make sure that they have sufficient coverage. One of those, of course, is life insurance, that if something catastrophic happened, especially during your working years while you have any sort of debt that's accumulated. Another area, though, that we do see people overlook is survivorship income. Sometimes people will say, we don't have any debt, we're okay. But the challenge is that there's going to be a decline in Social Security. Sometimes there's a decline in pension as well. Making sure there's an adequate reserve for that survivorship income that's tax efficient. So the life insurance is one. The other is long-term care insurance. We insure everything else. We insure our home, we insure our cars, we insure our health. But a lot of times that's an area that people often wait a little bit too long until their health has already started to decline and the coverage options are very expensive. That is, I would say, currently the number one concern that I see on a daily basis is having an adequate long-term care strategy. So those 2 types of insurance, making sure that you evaluated those. And often what this takes is an accountability partner, whether that's a spouse, a friend, a trusted advisor. Those can be all very helpful in making sure that you get your goals met.
Right. It all comes back to peace of mind. April, this was really helpful. I can see why you were interviewed on the news about it. If somebody wants to talk to you more about holding them accountable to their resolutions, what's the best way to reach you?
You can call either of our offices at any time, or feel welcome to reach out to us on our website at theretirementfamily.com.
All right. April, thank you.
Thank you, Erin.